This is Godzilla vs. Kong. We've got King Kong on one corner, we've got Godzilla in the other, and they're clashing as the mighty titans of the earth for the first time in like 60 years or so. I think it's 59 or so years since they've last fought in the cinema, on the theaters, on the big screen. And I screened it at home because that's the state of things. So you might be watching it in a theater. You're lucky if you are. If not, you'll be watching it at home, and it's still, a pretty interesting experience. So I was quite excited for this. I've been really behind the MonsterVerse the whole time. I like seeing the big creatures kind of fight, and I am Team Kong. I quite like King Kong ever since Peter Jackson's effort, a number of years ago at this point. I actually quite like Kong as a character. Godzilla's pretty cool too. I mean, I've watched all of the MonsterVerse efforts, which there haven't been too many thus far. And yeah, I definitely thought Kong Skull Island was the stronger effort, much, much better film than either of the Godzilla films. I actually really didn't like either of them. When I went and watched the first new Godzilla as part of this MonsterVerse, the friend I went with actually fell asleep through 45 minutes of it, and I had to wake them up because, they were snoring in the theater. Anyways, the two ones, and the last one was awful. King of the Monsters was terrible. Oh, that was horrible to sit through in a screening. Anyways, this one's better. I was actually all behind this film for most of it. I was like, okay, it's setting up some cool things, but then the eventual execution of the ending just was like the lamest possible thing they could have done. I was expecting something, I don't know if profound, but I wanted some sort of conclusive thing to happen. And honestly, for most people that have done any predictions or any theories on this film, it's so predictable. It's like you don't even need to have watched it to have, you could have literally watched this film and come out of it and been like, well, I guess what would have happened the whole way through right from the start. It's just, I was so underwhelmed by the conclusion of this. There's no level of really finality to it. It's basically like watching Batman versus Superman again. It's the exact same sort of scenario, just with bunches of humans involved. And that's the sad thing, right? Is the fact that the last film, the human parts were terrible. In this one, the human parts are actually pretty good. I liked the characters, except for Billy Bob, or so whatever her name is, and her group of friends. I didn't really get the point of them. I guess they needed to kind of merge over people from the last Godzilla film into this one, but they didn't really serve much of a purpose, and the way they kind of influence a ending portion of the movie was really eye-rolling. That was the biggest thing. It was just like, really? That? Okay. Anyways, I actually really liked the core story. I want to say Chandler there, who plays kind of the father of, Billy's father in the movie, and he was in Godzilla, in King of the Monsters or whatever. He was actually the best part of King of the Monsters. I actually really liked that character, and he's kind of sidelined here, which is such a shame because he was the only thing I even remember liking about that movie at all. Anyways, totally just hate that film. Trying to keep on this one here, where Godzilla's fighting King Kong, and basically, the human parts are actually pretty good, because you've got Rebecca Hall playing this sort of, mother to this young girl, and this young girl has a connection with Kong, and the two of them throughout the film, it's really touching how they get one another. The large, huge Kong has just been juicing. He's big, he's tough, he's ready, he's ferocious, he bows down to no one. And it's really interesting seeing the dynamic of this young girl and her mother figure, and, well, it is basically her mother in this, and how the little one connects with Kong, and I thought that was really touching. They really humanize Kong as a character. They really play around with the character quite well. I really liked Kong. And I am a fan of Kong, but just the way they did it in this one is really kind of touching. It's actually quite well done throughout. I was like, oh, that's really sweet. The whole way through, Kong was treated very well as a character, and I quite liked it. And then you've got Godzilla, where it's just he's not the nicest person in this one. He's a bit of a monster the whole way through. Now, there's some reasoning and stuff behind it, which you could probably guess, but it's just he's just a mean monster the whole time. Doesn't care about anything, he's just destroying everything. and you kind of understand why he is, and it gets up to this point where there's the big battles. Like there's two main battles that go on. There's ones that you've probably seen trailer-wise on the ship where Kong and Godzilla meet for the first time. But then there's sort of like a round two, and there's some other things that go on, because I'm trying to keep it spoiler-free, because I want people to watch it and, maybe not have spoilers. But seriously, it is such a Batman v Superman film. You think Warner would have learned, because it is just the lamest ending. It is such a cop-out. I was like so on board thinking, hey, this is a solid movie. This is actually a good movie. I like this. And then you get to that ending portion, and it's just like, oh man, that's it. I was just like, lame. That's how I was feeling when I was watching it. I was like, why are... There's nothing, like, I expected an epic battle, and they had some great fights in this. Like, the CGI was very, very well done, very believable throughout. It looked great on the TV. I was like, oh, this is cool. Punching, slamming. They had some seriously dramatic camera angles. Like, it's almost as if you were playing, like, a Fight Night game, and they've got, like, these super dramatic angles. It's like, whoa, and this, the camera's flipping around. I was like, that is some cool camera work. It's not necessarily like a cinematic masterpiece in that regard, but I gotta give props for the cool camera work in that one. And Hong Kong just gets shredded to bits. Like, they do not care. And I mean, there's lots of inconsistencies, there's lots of weird character moments, there's, some generic human characters thrown into the mix of it all. And there's a big menacing thing, of course, as well, that you're probably guessing what it is. And of course, if you want to do spoilers and stuff in the comments, we can talk about that, that's fine. I just want to keep it generally spoiler-free for people that are, considering watching this and don't have any context, are wondering if this is a watch. It's watchable. It's definitely a middle-of-the-mark film. Again, the human parts were actually well done. I didn't mind the first half of the film, because there's a lot of build-up, getting to where everybody's kind of together in this one spot. There's this gorgeous location that we go to that I would have never guessed that we went to. That part was surprising. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. It's a very unique location. I was like, yes, this is what I like about these monster films, is this kind of place. And then of course you just get thrown into this generic sort of conclusive point, and I was like, oh man, come on, surprise me a little bit, do something weird, do something different. And no, and it's just like, I can't believe this is probably the end of the MonsterVerse. The last one didn't do well. I'm not sure how this one will do well outside of the theatrical experience not being normal in this day and age, in this time period. And it's just like, oh, that's how it's gonna go, really? This is the end of it? I don't know, I was super disappointed by it, is the main thing, because I've been hyped about this for quite a while. I'm like, yeah, King Kong, Team Kong, I'm all about this, beat that lizard down. And, it's cool because there's a lot of Godzilla fans out there, sure, and as well, like even more Godzilla fans probably. And it's cool how you can kind of maybe get this rivalry growing between friends where you're excited about watching them, like, fight down in the theaters. It's cool. Like I said, this is a cinematic moment. This hasn't happened since, like literally, I think 59 years or so was the last time these two fought on the big screen, as far as I'm knowledgeable about. So that's a big deal. This does not happen often. And for them to just kind of do like a complete cop-out of it, it's so disheartening, because I was just hoping for something more exact. Maybe they could have done it where it's like a finale thing with a little bit of a wink and stuff. Like and it just ends, and it's like, okay, cool. There's still, it's just... It bothers me, because I was really, really excited about this one. I had a lot of hope for it to be good, and for a large portion of it, it was a really good, alright, fine movie. I didn't mind the human characters, even though the one group, like I mentioned, they were like, yeah. But I love the dynamics of the girl with Kong, and I think you'll really find that they do a good job of humanizing King Kong as a character, and the young girl and the people around her. The guy they have included with them is a little bit weird, because he kind of is a bad person, but then they play him off as a bit of a hero. It's strange. But anyways, I'd give it a 5.2 out of 10. You can read my full review in the description below. If you do have questions or anything, let me know. And good luck watching Godzilla and King Kong beat down and battle for it all, I guess.